You always remember your first period. What? I remember the moment I felt something move inside me. My mother knew what it was, she called it a beast. And when it finally came out, it didn't just change me. It replaced her. This is the true story of a family curse passed down through blood, and why I'm writing this letter to my daughter before it's too late. To my dearest Rosie, the day a girl gets her period is a memorable one. Usually not for happy reasons, but memorable nonetheless. I was 10 when I got mine, just a year younger than you are now. It was a sticky, disgusting August day, the kind where your neck is already slick by the time you get to the bus stop, which for me was already a trek. My family lived in the sticks, and no one ever had time to drive me to school, so I walked about 3 miles every morning to catch the bus. It was a Wednesday, and I asked my mom if I could stay home that day because my tummy hurt. She waved me off, said I was a lazy liar, blah blah blah. So I grumbled to that bus stop, grumbled onto the bus, and grumbled into social studies. Within the first hour of some activity we were doing, I felt something strange on my seat but ignored it. I must have been very into whatever we were doing, cause I thought, I'll just check at bathroom break. It's in 10 minutes anyway. That was until E.J. Taylor stood up to sharpen his pencil. This was unfortunate for 3 reasons. 1. The pencil sharpener was right behind my seat. 2. I was wearing my new white khaki shorts, and 3. Unbeknownst to me, I had started my period. Ivy's bleeding. EJ shouted with his big stupid mouth. People gathered around and saw that he was right. I had a big giant red spot right on my butt. It doesn't feel good to have your 4th grade class see you get your first period, or to see the disgusted janitor come in and remove your little chair like it's a biological weapon, or to stand in the front office while they call your mom cause they don't want you to sit on anything else, but it wasn't the worst thing to happen to me that day. My already pained gut twisted when I found out they were calling my mom. I just knew she'd be so mad at me. But in a way I was thankful for that big red spot. It was proof I wasn't faking. Maybe she'd even be sorry. Mom came barreling in with a stone face, grabbed my wrist, ignored the secretary asking her to sign me out, and practically threw me in the back of the car. There was a towel across the back seat, so I at least didn't have to stress about getting her seats dirty. We made eye contact in the rearview mirror before she put the car in drive. She shook her head at me and said, "I can't believe you would do this to me." It was the only thing she said for the whole car ride. When we got home, she yanked me out of the car and into the house. My heart sank when I realized my dad's car was gone at work and my big brother would still be at school. I was all alone. She pulled me into my room and slammed the door. I kept my breath still as she stared down at me, her chest rising and falling like angry tectonic plates. I watched her, like cornered prey watches a predator, fear choking my throat, senses needle sharp, aware of any sound or move I might make that could her off, make her snap her jaw. My stomach still hurt and I needed to pee. I wanted whatever this was to be over. "I'm sorry, Mom." I tried. "Is it moving yet?" she asked. "What?" I said, baffled. She didn't respond, just bent down to a knee and placed one hand on my stomach, and pressed her ear up against my tiny tummy, the same way I've seen people do to pregnant women. I mistook this gesture for a hug and tried to wrap my small arms around her, but they were pushed away. Finally, she got back to her feet, cleaning her hands of me on her dress. My mother was as beautiful as she was wrathful. A stunning woman, long hair of bright copper that shined like fresh honey down her slender back in the sunlight. Her scent was one of warm greenery from spending so much time out in her garden, tending to the roses she cherished so much, roses that overtook much of our backyard like a crimson flood. I wasn't allowed near the flowers, she was always afraid I'd find some way to ruin them. "Maybe you don't have it, maybe it's just small. You will stay until we see," she said and turned and left. I heard her drag a chair from the kitchen and place it under my door handle. Still in my bloody khaki shorts and my Scooby-Doo backpack, I did 2 things I'm not proud of. I pissed myself and cried. Eventually, I changed out of those shorts and pushed them away in a corner. I put on a different pair, aware that these would just get dirty too since I didn't know how to stop the bleeding. I tried calling out to my mom a couple of times, but she would either not respond or bang something heavy against the door. It didn't take me long to give up. Exhausted from the crying and the bleeding, but also scared to stain my sheets, I curled up on the hardwood floor and fell asleep. When I woke up, it was to the sound of loud, angry voices, my mom and my dad. I was surprised as Dad never really yelled, so something must have really riled him up. I felt a sinking feeling again, thinking that he must be angry at me too for this period stuff. I really messed up, I thought. Can't you go somewhere? Or put her somewhere else? My dad was yelling, he sounded desperate. I heard what sounded like my mom spitting on the ground. It will find me, consume me, it doesn't matter how far. You don't think my mother ran? She ran. But it didn't matter. I won't let that happen to me. But Lucia, she's just a little girl. My dad said, fully begging now. She spat again and called me a name in her native language. I didn't know what language that was. Your grandmother and I were not close. She wouldn't even tell me where she was from. I would find out later that the country she was technically from in Eastern Europe doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't for a long time. You would like if I was gone, eh? She asked angrily. My dad muttered something and shuffled away. That was his way of things mostly. Go. She yelled and I heard him head out to the backyard. I felt something move in my stomach, a cramp I had thought at first like the ones I had this morning, but this was different. It felt like the cramp was growing as it moved, expanding and twisting. If this morning there was a grape bouncing around in my stomach, now it was an apple. It made me think back to what my mom had asked me when we first got home. Is it moving yet? What had that meant? I didn't know a thing about periods, but whatever this thing was moving inside of me felt abnormal. I heard stomping down the hall, the sound of the chair being moved, and then my mother opening the door. She carried a bundle of rope in her hands and an anchor-deep frown on her face. Mommy? I tried, but she ignored me. She bent down to listen for whatever it was writhing around inside of me. I knew then something was in fact in me, so I stepped away, desperate for her to not find it. Her eyes narrowed into daggers when I did this. She snatched me forward, digging her nails into my sides to keep me in place while she listened. The thing practically kicked as soon as she put her ear up to my stomach. She gasped and jolted back slightly. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I began crying too. Mommy, what is it? I gulped. She answered with a sharp, stinging slap of her skinny hand across my cheek. You pretend like you don't know, but I know you do. Just like I know Carmilla did when she took my mother. You will not replace me, beast. She hissed and turned me around, binding my wrist behind my back tightly with the rope. Carmilla was my mom's little sister. At that point, I'd never met her. I just knew that none of the family spoke to her. She was beautiful, and some of the family blamed her for an accident that killed my mom's mom. I had no idea what she had to do with my first period or with the thing inside me. As my mom tightened the rope with one final tug, we both jumped at rushing footsteps down the hall. My big brother was home from school. Ivy, you better not still have the DS dash. He had started but paused in my doorway at the sight, speechless. His eyes darted from the sight of Mom binding my hands and the pile of blood-soaked clothes in the corner. She softened at the sight of him. Her hands that had just hogtied my tiny wrists together became feather-soft on his cheeks as she caressed him. Despite all the pain so far that day, the envy seemed to sting the worst. It was like she shape-shifted into a softer, edgeless form, one I never got to meet, only observe. My sweet, gather your things. You and your father are going to your grandfather's for the night. She cooed. My brother's eyes moved from her to me with intense confusion. Is Ivy coming? He asked after thinking for a moment. Her lip twitched, the delicate mask almost faltering before shaking her head. No. She is going away to stay with Aunt Carmilla for some time, she told him. He glanced over at me again and I shook my head subtly. He nodded and then said he'd go pack. She bent down and kissed him on his forehead, called him a good boy and followed him out, replacing the chair under my doorknob as she did. Hours passed. The sun was setting now and I heard feet moving around the house and the zippers of bags being packed. I managed to shuffle over to my window to look into the backyard. With the sun on the horizon, I saw my mother's thin silhouette, a solid inky shadow against the raging fire she had begun in the fire pit. Except I realized it was much bigger than the fire pit. No. A large hole had been dug and wood was piled inside of it, burning red and angry in the center of the yard. I felt the thing move again inside me, clawing around at my guts, maybe grapefruit-sized now, I thought. I swallowed the groan that shuddered in my throat. Whatever this thing was, it was getting bigger by the hour. My insides felt like a blender blade had been placed and turned on inside my intestines. My organs like they were twisting through my ribcage like restless sleepers. My legs were red-stained and itchy from the sticky blood, fresh and old, that had not been tended to since I was picked up that morning from school. I heard the chair move from the door, this time more gently, and my brother came in. He stood awkwardly near the door for a second. I asked Mom if I could say bye, 'cause you're going to Aunt Carmilla's? He said, looking at my face. He was asking if it was true, I realized. I shook my head just in case she was listening. He nodded, like he already knew it was lie and this was just confirmation. Well, you can't take my DS with you. Ugh, it smells like a bag of pennies in here, he said and walked around the room, feigning to look for the thing until he quietly unlatched my bedroom window and pushed it open just enough for me to be able to squeeze myself out. He then fiddled with something in his cargo short pocket. He mouthed, "Ask for a hug. Can I have one last hug, Toby? Before I go? I sniffled. Honestly, I really did need a hug. Ugh, fine. He moaned and embraced me, holding whatever it was from his pocket. I gasped slightly as I felt the tight ropes release from behind me. He had cut me free. Pretend like you're still tied up. She made Dad dig a big hole. I don't know what's going on, but you gotta go. She said she's waiting for it to come out of you. He looked at me now, searching for an answer. I glanced down at my belly where the grapefruit was visibly darting around, looking like a bouncing ping-pong ball encased in my pink flesh. I don't like that, Toby said simply. Yeah, me either. I agreed. Well, I think you're safe while it's still inside you. I'm gonna hug her a bunch in the driveway, but before I do, I'll accidentally honk the car horn. While I do that, crawl out your window into the woods and just like book it, okay? I'm scared. I cried softly into his shoulder. I know, I am too. But just try, okay? I don't want you to go to Aunt Carmilla's. He said shakily and gave me a real hug. I'll try. Is Dad gonna say goodbye? I asked. Toby shook his head, a slight fury sparked in his eyes. He said it's easier if he doesn't see you again. He left then, replacing the chair under my doorknob. I listened intently for the sound of the horn after the front door slammed shut. Finally I heard the honk, and tried to scramble as quick as I could out my small bedroom window. As I brought my stomach across the sill, the thing inside raged, apparently disliking the windowsill pressing against it. On just the other side of my skin, I felt what seemed to be hundreds of sharp little teeth trying to bite outward but failing to break through the flesh, instead just shredding the walls of my abdomen, flaying my stomach lining. The pain, along with the image of my flesh falling into my stomach acid like shaved beef, brought forth two things: an ear-shattering screech and an explosion of vomit from my mouth. Through my ringing ears, I heard my dad's car tires screech away and the sound of someone sprinting my way. As I tried to push myself through, I heard my door fling open. My beautiful mother stood there, axe in hand. That was the motivation I needed. I managed to push through the window, but not before my mother got a swipe in on my left ankle, splitting it open like a gusher. The warm liquid burst out of my leg as if it were eager to leave. I screamed when I hit the grass below, my ankle now taking first place in the agony Olympics my body was hosting today. I didn't want to look at it, hoping it felt worse than it actually was. However, between the silver light of the full moon and the dancing red flames of that fire, I saw that it was a raw, mangled mess. One more chop might have taken the thing off completely. Making a beeline for the woods was out of the question now. So, without any other choice, I crawled into the nearest of my mother's rose bushes, bearing the thorns that anointed me in sanguine slices as I took refuge. In some way, I wish you could have seen the rose bushes, but I don't think they've been tended to since that night. Your grandmother was a talented gardener, really impressive. The yard's circumference was encompassed by tall, climbing roses, and the interior of the yard had rows of roses going horizontally and vertically, so many that I always thought that if you looked at the yard from above, it might even look like one giant rose. I was lucky she took such good care of the flowers. They were dense, with large dark blooms that shielded me from sight. I crawled as quietly as I could through the bush, pushing myself to one and another row over before freezing as I heard the back door fling open and heard my mother's fervent steps stalk off towards the woods. I crawled into another bush and was able to see her stalk back toward the house and garden. She paused in front of the massive fire, her axe at the ready, and in the light, I could see blood from my ankles splattered across her face. After a moment of pacing, she let out a banshee war cry towards the sky before swinging her axe down into the rose bushes nearest to my window, the sad petals exploding like scarlet confetti all around her as she swung into the flowers. My flowers. You ruined my flowers. Beast. Beast. I'll kill you, beast. She sobbed as she continued the manic exercise. I thought only about staying quiet until she tired herself out, then maybe I could crawl somewhere safer, or maybe Dad and Toby would come back. Even if she did tire out, though, neither of those plans would work. Nothing was close enough for me to crawl to in my state, and I would bleed out before my father and brother returned. It turned out, though, that none of that mattered. The thing inside me had ballooned to the size of a melon as I laid there in the rose bushes, and as I felt it wriggle around I knew I wasn't big enough to hold it anymore. It began to push out of me. I crossed my legs to hold it in, but a long sharp-tailed cord spilled out, startling a squeak out of my throat. After a brief moment, I felt my mother's delicate fingers latch down on my ankles, pulling me out of the rose bush and onto the lush green lawn, the fire like a dying sun illuminating her. She raised her axe above her head. "You will not win against me," she told me. "I never wanted to, Mommy," I sobbed. Just before she hacked into me, I saw her eyes see the tail of the thing, and her arms went limp, dropping the axe beside her. All that conviction, all that rage was gone in an instant. No, not a tailed one. She shuddered, barely audible. With my fear-stricken mother standing over me, I screamed as the rest of the creature squirmed out of me, the pain unlike anything I had ever felt before as its 8 legs pushed itself out of me. I half expected the thing to cry, but it came out hissing like a cockroach. The creature itself made an awful slurping sound as it finally exited my body. I brought myself up to my elbows and almost fainted. The thing was the size of a large cat, but more closely resembled a scorpion, with 8 long bony legs and a sharp curled tail. Its body shape was hard to discern. It almost seemed jelly-like a plop of strawberry jam had grown legs and a tail. It observed me, I think, cocking its head, hundreds of dark eyes looking at my butchered form. Then it turned to my mother and seemed to know exactly what it wanted. My mother didn't run, but she did scream. With the fire blazing behind her, I watched as the scorpion-like creature sprang onto her, latching onto the center of her chest, where her heart laid, the attack making her drop to her knees. The color drained from her, not just her skin becoming sickly pale, but the red in her hair faded into a sad, limp white. She weakly held her hand up as her pearl-smooth skin began to wrinkle, to decay, the blush of her cheeks drained like spilled wine. She glanced at me, her green eyes now lusterless, pink tulip lips dried like worms on the sidewalk on a hot day. As she fell, I heard her bones clutter against each other, the last noise she'd ever make. I thought then that I'd die next to my mother in her rose garden, but this thing that had grown in me that day had other plans. When my mother was sucked dry, it wasted no time skittering back to me. Back into me. I gasped, terrified, but it didn't hurt me. It saved me. I felt warmth run through my flesh like never before, a revitalization overtaking me. My ankle that had been split open sealed itself like it had never been struck. My thorn-ridden skin ceased its endless bleeding. But it didn't just heal, it made me better. My hair thickened and grew more vibrant, my skin became softer, and I think it even made me taller. I rose to my feet. My legs felt strong, and I felt stronger than I ever had in my entire life. My eyes found what remained of my mother, and I realized why she was so scared and why no one in her family spoke to Carmilla. The thing had taken all this beauty and this strength from my mother and given it to me. There's a lot I don't know still, even after getting in touch with Aunt Carmilla. I don't know why the creature hasn't emerged since. I don't know why she didn't just kill me when she had the chance, why she had to wait for the creature to emerge but gave up anyway. I don't know why Carmilla and I are carriers of it. Your Aunt Carmilla has 4 older sisters who didn't have it, and those sisters have daughters who don't have it. I've tried to figure it out, but the rabbit holes I've lost myself in have been fruitless and dangerous. What I do know, my sweet Rosie, is that you are the best thing that's ever happened to me. My little flower, how lucky am I to know you? You are so beautiful, smart, curious, and kind. I'd like to take some credit, but you are so self-assured all on your own. The way those clever eyes of yours always see more than what's on the surface. I know you noticed that Mommy is acting strange today, and I'm sorry that I didn't prepare you better. I think I got so distracted by the joy it was raising you that I never thought about what would happen if you were a carrier. Well, that's not completely true. I did think about it, but never for more than a minute. The truth is, I didn't care if you were a carrier or not. If the last thing I do on this earth is give you my vibrance, my beauty, my life force, then I can die with my heart full. So, to my sweet little girl who woke up with a stomach ache this morning and needed to stay home from school, know that you are not evil. You are not a monster. In a little while, we'll make a blanket fort and crawl under it together. I can see it moving around in your tummy, the little grapefruit. I'll try to explain it all to you as simply as I can before it happens, but I know it'll be scary and I'm so sorry for that. I know I should have warned you earlier, but Mommy was a little selfish and wanted to have a fun last day with you. So I write this letter for you, Rosie, so you know that you are not taking from me, I am giving, and I am overjoyed to do so. I am posting this here in case anyone else is a carrier or knows one and wanted to know they're not alone. To Rosie, Aunt Carmilla and Uncle Toby will be by tonight after to take care of you. I love you, I will always love you, and I feel like the biggest winner in the world just to have known you. Love, Mommy.